Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Joan Ifland. Dr. Joan, how are you doing, ma?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so excited to
Thank you.
be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joan. Firstly, you are an author. You are also a doctor of addictive nutrition. You are
Hmm.
also a coach. Can you please, ma, discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, ma?
I am good. I'm good. I am, I've been in this field for, oh, I'm coming up to 29 years. And I get more and more excited about it every day. Not only are processed foods making us sick, but there are many things about our culture that make us sick. And we've recently been awarded a patent by the US Patent Office on our method for putting chronic illnesses into remission in general. It's not just about the food, it's also about repairing the beliefs that our cultures have given us. And so I get more and more excited and happy about my field every day, every day.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Joan. Processed food is one of the, most important topic, that is really common today. And you also have a book you've written on this processed food, this nutrition,
Yes,
man.
I have written the textbook for the field. It's I just had like 3 years open up in my life, and I sat for 3 years and read the research and put together the problem. What is the problem? And why is it getting worse all the time? And why can no one figure out how to make it stop? And I just feel very grateful that I had those 3 years. So it's a textbook. It's published by a textbook company, and it's called Processed Food Addiction. Um, Assessment, Foundations, and Recovery. So it's a long book. It's got 2,000 citations in it. And if there's anything that you want to know about why you've lost control over food and how processed foods are affecting your life and whether your illnesses might be related to processed foods and what to do about it. Um, that's a good book. I will say, having spent the 3 years on it and making sure that everything that I said in there is backed by a study. Um, Even though it's an academic book, it's still a really good read.
Yes, thank you so much, Mrs. Joan. We also know that, there are lots of addiction today. But, when people listen that, processed food addiction, people might not really, understand what it really mean. And people will not really know how it's also probably similar to other different type of addiction, Dr. Joan. Can you please,
Hmm.
this, tell, how do you personally define addiction to processed foods, and how do you think it is similar to or different from other types of addiction, ma?
I think that's such a good question. It's it's very clear that processed foods can create intense cravings, which are the hallmark, the core of addiction to substances. And this is not a behavior addiction or what's called a process addiction. No, no, no. This is based on substances. So, like gambling is a process addiction, shopping addiction is a process addiction. There's not a substance involved. But alcoholism is a substance use disorder, and processed food use is very similar to alcoholism. And so there are 11 signs according to the American Psychiatric Association. They call them diagnostic criteria. I just call them signs because we don't have a diagnosis for processed food addiction. But if you like, I can run through those 11 signs, and your listeners can hear for themselves whether or not they're experiencing the signs of processed food addiction. Would you like for me to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, the first sign is called unintended use. It's where you have a plan not to eat processed foods and you find yourself eating them anyway. Like maybe you wake up and you say, oh, today I'm only eating real foods. But by 10 o'clock, you're reaching for bread or a sweet or a salty snack or um, you're reaching for dairy. Dairy has casomorphins in it, or you want something that's very high in fat, or you want caffeine, or you're eating something that probably has addictive food additives. So that's number one. You have a plan not to eat, and then you're eating it anyway. Number two is failure to cut back. And this is very widespread because processed foods are very fattening and people have intention to lose weight or they do lose weight and then they regain it. And so they can't cut back. They can't control it anymore. Number three is time spent. And it's not just going back and forth to a fast food place or going back and forth to the grocery or going back and forth to the break room if you work in a workplace that's got processed foods in the break room. It's not just that kind of time spent making sweets or making desserts. It's also in your head. So the amount of time that you're spending thinking about food. And this is related to criteria four, which is cravings. And cravings are not normal. They're common today because the food industry is very good at creating cravings. So lots of people have them. And in some cases, it's progressed to obsession, where you're just thinking about food all the time. It's very uncomfortable, and it is an indication that the food industry has given you these cravings. They're not normal. You're not supposed to crave food. You're supposed to eat real food, enjoy it, feel healthy, be satisfied, and then get on with the rest of your life. So you're not supposed to be craving food in between good, healthy meals. It's not, it's a sign that something is wrong. And it's not you. It's not because you don't have enough willpower to stop them. This is back in the midbrain and it's through business practices. Okay, number five is uh, a failure to fulfill roles. And it's like you're just too heavy to get down on the floor with your kids, or you're too sad, too depressed to go out and find a job, or you're too tired to apply for a promotion, or you're too craving to just do your job or take care of your household. You're always being pulled away by these cravings. The next criteria is relationship problems. So those cravings, the fatigue, the unstable emotions, because processed foods destabilize blood glucose. You have highs and crashes, and it makes us irritable. It makes us rage. Processed foods also increase the amount of adrenaline in the body. It's just very, very sad, but I do, as I go through each of these signs, I want to get your listeners really excited because now we can escape these. We don't have to carry these burdens through our lives. The next criteria is activities given up. So maybe you used to go bowling after work or go to a civic meeting or a volunteer meeting. And now you're just so tired and you're so craving that you go straight home. So you're finding that you're giving up activities, or maybe because these substances are fattening, you don't want to go anywhere because you don't like your body shape. So those are all reasons why you might be giving up activities. The next criteria is called hazardous use. And you think, oh, yeah, you can imagine a time maybe you were driving down the road, but you were eating fast food and you weren't really paying attention to the road. Or you're out of balance because your body shape is got your is not resting on your knees and ankles properly. Maybe you can't see your feet anymore, but all of these things can be contributing to falling, to tripping and falling. And that's obviously not your fault. You didn't ask to be this way, but you're still eating. You can't stop eating, or maybe you have diabetes and you can't stop eating. That's just an indication that this has gotten beyond your control and it's not your fault. Next criteria is used in spite of knowledge of consequences, like so maybe you have a diagnosis of high blood pressure or diabetes or kidney stress or irritable bowel or heart disease. One of these things that's clearly related to processed foods, but you can't stop eating. So that's not your fault, but it's a sign that the processed food industry has given you these intense cravings. And then you have tolerance or progression, which just means you're eating more and more of it over time. And then the last one is a withdrawal when you're eating not because you're hungry, but you're eating because you are angry or because you're sad or because you're in pain of some kind or you have a headache or you have a stomach ache and you're eating to try to numb that out. That's withdrawal avoidance. So those are the 11 criteria. If you have six or more, if you checked off, yep, I got that one, that one, that one. If you have six or more, the food industry has given you a severe, I call it a cravings disorder. This is different from other addictions because it's social and it's very common and it's very accepted and it's very easy. So instead of calling it an addiction, you can call it a cravings disorder. And that is going to take a bigger program. Your willpower cannot overcome that. Your brain has been given these intense cravings, and the frontal lobe where willpower is not big enough to stop this flood of cravings that are happening back in the midbrain. So does that help? Is that interesting?
It does help, Mrs. Dr. Joan. Thank you so much, ma. You really brought in the necessary details, things that, make someone feel, they could be in a position whereby they are addicted to processed food. Thank you so much, ma. And, there will also be a way or strategy that one can also use to probably replace or solve this situation of the processed foods, ma. Can you please,
Yes,
ma, if there is any specific strategies or ways
yes,
for probably replacing processed food with healthier whole food options, ma?
yes, yes. So the processed foods are any kind of sweetener, sugar, brown sugar, molasses, agave syrup. Uh, those are all sweeteners, corn syrup. The artificial sweeteners. whether it's granulated, no matter what it says on the label, even honey. At this point, what that those substances will do is they'll aggravate the cravings, and the cravings will be so strong. The cravings are controlling your behavior. It's not your frontal lobe, it's not the thoughtful part of the brain. Flour will do this. Flour is refined, it turns to sugar in the bloodstream. You get this huge surge of sugar in the bloodstream. Flour also often contains gluten, and gluten has a natural morphine in it, gluteomorphine. So even like barley or wheat, I can't eat that because it has gluten in it. It's not refined, it's not a flour, but it has gluten in it, and that will give me cravings. Excessive salt. We have to eat salt. It's part of our electrolyte profile, and we can really bring on heart disease if we don't eat salt. But we need to eat it in very small or moderate quantities. Excessive salt activates the same pathway in the brain as opium. So you can't eat those salty snacks. They're designed to give you cravings. The next one is dairy. So dairy has a natural, it's called casomorphine in it. And it's designed to put a baby calf to sleep. So it's strong enough to put a 100-pound baby calf to sleep. It's a narcotic. It's casomorphine. And that's great if you're a baby calf and you need to go to sleep to absorb your nutrients. But for us, for humans, it's addictive. You know, we get cravings for dairy. And dairy is, it turns on the weight gain gene, it turns on the acne gene, it turns on a couple of the cancer genes. It's not for humans. And then you have excessive fat. So a normal amount of fat, we have to eat fat. Our whole nervous system is encased in fat. Every cell in the body, the membrane is made from fat. You've got to eat fat. But when you get into these programs that promote excessive fat, like the carnivore and the keto programs, you can develop cravings for fat. It activates a different pathway. It activates the same pathway as marijuana. So just eat, you know, a normal portion of fat. And then you, of course, you have caffeine. Caffeine activates the dopamine pathway. And then, you know, these food processors, they were trained by the tobacco industry. Tobacco bought Kraft, Nabisco, and General Foods in the mid 1980s because they needed a new market. They were losing the tobacco market, and so they switched over to processed foods. They had a cheap sweetener, high fructose corn syrup, and they were able to apply a business model to processed foods, the same business model that they had applied to tobacco. Well, one of the elements of that business model is to hide addictive substances in the product. So for cigarettes, they hid extra nicotine and they hid pyrazine in the cigarettes to create cravings. When they got a hold of the processed food industry and they had high fructose corn syrup available to them, they just loaded up products. They hid sugar, fat, salt in products like, you know, tomato sauce and pasta sauce and bread and crackers and anything where you could hide substances. They hired a consultant named Howard Moskowitz to maximize the amount of sugar, fat, salt, caffeine in products right to the point where the consumer would say, oh no, that's too sweet, or that's too fatty, or that's too salty. So he had this very sophisticated method for maximizing the amount of these addictive substances that he could hide in a product before the consumer would detect it. And that's where this all started. It's not your fault. Just, I want your listeners to know this is not your fault. This is an unregulated business model, and it's used all over the world. The whole world now is suffering from obesity and diabetes and heart disease and gut issues and skin problems and depression and anxiety and dementia, but it's all ties back to these processed foods.
Thank you so much, Dr. John. And that also make, a lot of people today feel hopeless, feel down,
Mhm.
They do not know, many do not know that, the food is one of the main reason they could be having this, issues that is developing in their body. So that is why this was very important. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Dr. Joan. But lastly, for people who also still continue to feel hopeless, who are still hoping for more good things to come, what message would you give to someone feeling hopeless about their ability to break
Hmm.
free from processed foods, ma?
Yes, you asked me a question and I didn't answer it. You said, "What should we do?"
Yes, ma'am.
And I thought, well, the first thing you have to know is what are the substances? So I answered that question, but let me swing back to what you did ask, which is what can we do?
Okay.
A number one is keep these foods out of your house. We have, I think, our gift to you. We have a free 4-week course, Introduction to Processed Food Addiction. So, A number one, sign up for that course, accept that free gift.
Mm,
I will work with you for 4 weeks in a row for an hour each week, and I'll give you lots of tips and lots of strategies. We also have a free website. It's
mm,
called Food Addiction Resources, and you can get handouts there. So you can get a list of the processed foods and a list of the real foods there. So education, like start to educate yourself about what's actually going on around you
mm,
and keep these foods out of your house. I know you have intense cravings, and even just if you even just have to leave the house to go get it because the cravings are so intense, you'll have a few minutes maybe for the cravings to subside and for you to get control of your behavior back. Um, do educate the people in your household.
mm.
um, if you sign up for that free course, I'll let you know.
All
I
right.
have a list of 20 chronic illnesses, mental, emotional, behavioral, physical diseases, where I can describe the link, that processed foods are inflammatory.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joanne. And I also sincerely thank you for the free course. I would love to have the link. Thank you so much, ma. Um,
Yes.
Lastly, there's a question I normally ask, Dr. Joanne. From the ancestors, from the forefathers, there are a lot of things that is missing during our ancestral time, do exist in our ancestral time, but it is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, ma?
You know what it would be? It would be a healthy tribe, a healthy clan, a healthy group. These substances, we were talking about relationships, they interfere with relationships. You can't focus on another person. You're thinking about food all the time. You can't help another person. And we need that community. We need community. All of our online programs are based on community and kindness and compassion. and just you know, a great will to help another person. That is our natural nature. That's how we are designed, to protect one another, help one another. And I know, particularly in the US, more people live alone now than ever. And that means that the internet can prey on them. And, you know, the internet can pretend to be their family. No, those are advertisers, and they're there to manipulate you and give you cravings. So being around honest, clean eating, real eating, healthy people is the biggest thing you can do to help yourself. It's having that community around you.
Mm.
Really, if you can find people who want to eat this way with you, that is the greatest gift you can give yourself.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. John. I sincerely want to thank you for, this insight when it comes to processed food. A lot of people, even I myself, there was some of it you said that I do. I never know that, it's part of a type of addiction when it comes to processed foods. I
Mm-hmm.
sincerely want to thank you, Dr. John, for this topic and for the interest to be on my show. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thanks for
John.
inviting me. I've really enjoyed our time.
All right, ma'am. Bye bye.
Bye bye.